Nowadays, taking a dip in the sea doesn't have to be dangerous. However, there were times in the past in which being near salt water was something completely foolish. Marine reptiles big enough to crush entire ships with their jaws and predatory whales are just a few of the creatures that roam the prehistoric oceans of our planet. That's why in this video, we will show you 7 prehistoric seas where no dinosaur would be safe. Number 7. Ordovician period. The Ordovician represents a division of the geological temporal scale which corresponds to the second geological period of the Paleozoic era. During this time, Earth seemed a barren and desert place. The days lasted 21 hours instead of 24, and also there were no animals in mainland and little vegetation. This was due to the scarcity of oxygen, whose levels were 15% compared to 20% today. However, the seas and the oceans brimmed with life. The sea scorpions were the most prominent ones. These horrible primitive creatures raked over the sand in the beaches with their enormous clams in search for food. Everything that dared to cross between them and their clams were done. But the most important predator in the Ordovician was perhaps a mollusk known as Orthocerida, an extinct order of cephalopods distinguished for having generally elongated shells, shaped as a cone or somewhat curved. These giants, similar to squids, could move in the water, dragging a sea scorpion or a trilobite with the help of its tentacles, and then they devoured them with their mighty beaks. Its fossils have been found in different parts of the world, like for example, Europe, United States, or Northern Africa, especially in Morocco. Number 6. Triassic. The Triassic was one of the 3 geological periods of the Mesozoic era. It began 251 million years ago and ended 199 million years ago. Like it happens with most of the geological periods, the start and end dates are not entirely exact, but in case of this period, both the beginning and the end are marked by important historic events like the massive extinction of the Permic Triassic and the Triassic Jurassic. This period is fundamentally characterized by the appearance of the first dinosaurs, initially represented for the biped, carnivores, and small-sized forms. As for the seas, these were inhabited by marine reptiles like the Nothosaurus, similar to a lizard, and the strange Tanistraephes, a carnivore whose neck constituted more than half the length of the animal. Nevertheless, the father of all marine predators of the Triassic was the Symbospondylus, an elegant and mighty ichthyosaur that was between 19 and 32 feet tall and lived in what is now known as North America and Europe. It had 2 pairs of fins at each side of the stomach, a long tail, similar to an eel, but it didn't have a dorsal fin, so it is believed that it was one of the first ichthyosaurs that lived on Earth. Number 5. Devonian period. The Devonian waters, a period that started 415 million years ago and ended 360 million years ago, were the home of a large variety of very aggressive sharks, like for example the Stethocyanthus, whose dorsal fin was anvil-shaped. However, this shark species had nothing to do in comparison with the Dunkleosteus, a fish that lived 400 years ago and had a bite power of 11,000 pounds per square centimeter that allowed it to devour large prey and of proportions far greater than the size of its jaws. Practically, it could cut a shark in half in just one bite. Another of its striking features is that it could open its mouth very fast in just 1/5 of a second and produced a potent suction force that attracted prey to its mouth. This double capacity makes them one of the first predators situated in the top of the pyramid, representing the most feared predators of the Devonian period. As for the terrestrial animals and plants, the first ones started to colonize little by little the virgin territories, and about the second ones, they first started to appear in the trees like the Archaeopteryx, whose leaves were pretty similar to today's ferns. Number 4. Eocene. In the Eocene, approximately 41.3 to 33.3 million years ago, mammals already dominated mainland and branched out to the sea. The Basilosaurs was one of the first whales and, unlike from current species, lacked fat and were armed with terrifying teeth. This primitive Cretaceous could reach approximately 68 feet long, and the first fossils found were wrongly identified as those of a marine snake, even going so far as to assign it a name that literally translated as King of the Reptiles. But the Basilosaurus was really a whale, one with two delicate back limbs protruding from their flanks that had the size of a leg of a 3-year-old kid. These small and attractive limbs, perfectly formed but useless, are a crucial clue to comprehend how modern whales, supremely adapted swimming machines, descended from terrestrial mammals that once walked on all fours. It is believed that the Basilosaurus was common in the Tethys Ocean, between the ancient continents of Gondwana and Laurasia. It was one of the biggest animals of the Paleocene, if not the biggest. Also, it was the main predator of its environment, feeding from the prey that weren't especially small, like sharks and other marine mammals like the Durodon, similar to a dolphin, that used to be its main source of food. Number 3. Pliocene. 4 million years ago, the coasts of Peru were a barren desert. The seals inhabited the rocks and a weird amphibious lazily waded the coastal waters. However, deep in the sea reigned one of the most feared fish ever known. A close relative of the great white shark, the megalodon, a legendary predator that was in the top of the food chain. They were enormous and voracious, like 10 sharks in one, or so its legend tells, and the scientific discoveries beyond the findings that certify its colossal dimension of 52 feet long and a head of 16 feet. Even before they were born, they were already terrible predators, since the small fry of this enigmatic prehistoric shark behaved like authentic cannibals in their mother's womb and devoured their weaker brothers. For researchers, the notable size of the megalodon is mesmerizing. An animal so big would have had to work a lot to find enough food, and as it was expected, their prey wasn't only fishes. The diet of this ginormous shark was based in Ordovician, an extinct whale species that filtered the seabed mud to feed itself. In fact, if there's something that resembles a great white shark, it's its way of hunting. The megalodon may have been an ambush predator, stealthily stalking the Ordovician from the depths of the ocean. Number 2. Jurassic. The Jurassic seas were the home of a great variety of sharks like the Hybotus and the nasty crocodile, Metriorhynchus. However, these didn't stand a chance before the fearsome Liopleurodon, greatest predator of all times. Being one of the largest carnivores that ever existed, its diet consisted in sharks, marine crocodiles, ichthyosaurs, other plesiosaurs, and the biggest fish of them all, the Leadsichthys. These enormous carnivore belonged to the marine reptiles family called plesiosaurs, and we know from the study of its nostrils that it had an extraordinary sense of smell, which made it an extremely efficient predator. It had the fundamental characteristic of this extinct reptile genre, a big, heavy skull, with an elongated head held by a short neck and 4 big limbs shaped as fins. Also, its big jaws had a row of needle-sharp teeth. But while a dip in the Jurassic Sea could fill with terror the bravest heart, the next period in Earth's history will contemplate the appearance of much more terrifying marine creatures. Number 1. Cretaceous. The Cretaceous Ocean crowns itself as the period with the most dangerous seas of all times due to the large number of marine predators and their ferocity. We just have to take a look at the Hesperornis, one of the first seabirds that used to be hunted by small mosasaurs, like the halosaurs, which waited in the shallow caves from the rocky edges for them to submerge, to be able to catch them between his short and sharp teeth. These mosasaurs were dwarfs in comparison with their enormous relatives, the giant mosasaurs. These reached up to 55 feet long and were capable of practically devouring everything that was in the sea. In the Cretaceous, it was common to see the biggest of the long-necked plesiosaurs, the elasmosaurs. This giant of 49 feet long used its extraordinary length and neck flexibility to hunt unsuspecting fishes and cephalopods that unfortunately crossed his path. But no one was safe in dry land either. This period witnessed the evolution of some of the fiercest predators of all times, including the famous Tyrannosaurus rex. Although we could never get to know exactly, movies, literature, and fiction have helped to extend the theories that the dinosaurs were dangerous and wild animals. There existed a multitude of them, some bigger and fiercer than others. But what if I told you that there were dinosaurs with features that you would have never imagined before? If you want to know more about these stories, take a look at our next video.